This is Heidi.
Yep, you're good, Heidi.
Okay, great, thanks.
All right, I'd like to call to order, please, the Culver Town Council meeting for Thursday, December 28th, 2023. Roll call, please.
William Clevenger.
Present.
Bill Githens.
Here.
Bill Ham.
Here.
Sally Ricciardi.
Here.
Rich West.
Present. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First item on the agenda is the approval of December 12th, 2023 regular meeting minutes. May I have a motion, please? It's been moved by Mr. Ham. I have a second.
Second.
Second by Mr. Githens. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, this meeting is being recorded, and your participation in this meeting is your consent to be recorded and rebroadcast on the town's YouTube channel. Also, if you have any electronic devices at this time, if you kindly turn them on airplane mode or turn them off, we greatly appreciate it. Thank you. Next on the agenda is the approval of the November financial reports. Everybody had a chance to take a look?
Yeah.
Excuse me.
I'll make a motion to approve the financial report.
Mr. Shardy makes the motion. Then I have a second. Second by Mr. Ham. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Next in the agenda is third read of ordinance 2023-021, the 2024 salary ordinance. I have that here. Can I?
Yeah, actually, everything. Thanks.
It's actually underneath that with the orange tab on it. Should be the top one.
Yeah,
Look
other
over.
top.
The very top one.
Oh,
There you
all these yellow tabs. And an ordinance establishing the wage and salary rates of the elected officers, the non-elected officers, and employees of the town of Culver, Indiana. Whereas Indiana Code 36-5-3-2 require the town council of the town of Culver enact an ordinance establishing the compensation of all appointed officers, deputies, and employees of the town of Culver for the calendar year of 2024. Now, the report be ordained by the town council of the town of Culver, Indiana, that the salaries and wages as outlined below be effective starting with a payroll including January 1, 2024. I have a motion to approve on third read.
So moved.
It's been moved by Githens, seconded by Mr. West. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Thank you. Next on the agenda is second read of ordinance 2023-022 bond ordinance for the economic development / TIF bonds.
Mr. President, I have a resolution that pertains to that, if you don't mind.
All right, go ahead.
Resolution number 2023-002, a resolution of the Town of Culver Economic Development Commission approving and authorize certain actions and proceedings with respect to certain proposed economic development revenue bonds and all matters related thereto. Whereas the company has requested that the Town of Culver Economic Development Commission and the town approve the issuance by the town of its taxable economic development tax increment revenue bonds in 2 series, which such further or different series designation as may be deemed necessary, desirable, or appropriate by the town, in an aggregate principal amount not to exceed $5,250,000 under the act, and provide a portion of the proceeds of such bonds to the company for the purpose of financing a portion of the public infrastructure. Signed and delivered to you from the Economic Development Commission.
May I have a motion to approve on second read?
Make a motion that we approve on second read ordinance 2023-022.
Mr. West makes a motion. Is there a second, please?
I'll second.
That Mr. Shardy makes a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign.
Present.
Passed.
Present.
Okay, we have therefore, Mr. West votes aye, Mr. Shardy votes aye, the chair votes aye. Mr. Githens votes present, and Mr. Ham votes present. Therefore, this will carry over to the January meeting.
No, it's a resolution that only requires one reading.
Oh, it
Yeah.
only requires one. Okay,
It passes.
Can I see that?
Yeah.
Thanks.
That was the second reading of the ordinance.
That was the
ordinance.
So you're right, Bill, but it does carry over until
Yeah.
next.
Yes.
That was the second reading of bond
No,
ordinance.
he introduced something else.
I introduced,
He
I was
jumped ahead.
delivering a resolution that was approved by the EDC simply for the bonds.
Yeah, so there's a little bit of
Okay.
confusion.
That does not require, because that resolution is just delivered. It
Yeah,
doesn't require. a vote.
Right.
It doesn't require.
That's correct.
You're
That's
just
why I thought
It'll
accepting.
just be 3-2 on this vote.
You're just accepting.
Correct, sir.
On second reading of the bond ordinance.
No, and then the second reading of the bond ordinance, that's a whole different thing.
Right.
okay.
But that's what was,
That's what
That's what the motion
That was
was.
the motion. Oh, to approve the bond.
Yeah.
reading.
on second reading, yes.
Yeah. Sorry,
So
Joe,
did
I
they
was
know-
just
did you go
delivering the
back and-
resolution before the ordinance.
Well, I got lost in there. Sorry about that. We got Baker Tilly on the line. If we're gonna talk to them. They did an analysis. Did you want to talk about that now, or what do you want to do?
I was going to do that during the Dunes update. if
Okay,
all
that's
right.
fine. That's fine.
Does the council need to accept the resolution from the Economic Development Corporation? Or Corporation, Economic Development Commission?
Yeah, 3-2.
No,
No.
you just voted on the bond ordinance.
That was a
The
bond.
second
The
reading.
bond ordinance.
I make a motion that the council accept the resolution as presented from the Economic Development Commission.
I'll second.
It's been moved by Mr. West, second by Mr. Shardy. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign.
Present.
Present.
Mr. West, aye. Mr. Shardy, aye. Chair, aye. Mr. Githens, present. Mr. Ham, present.
Hey, Kevin, on the bond ordinance, we had discussed potentially suspending the rules and approving.
Yeah, but we're not.
We
gonna be
didn't
able to
have a
do that.
unanimous.
We didn't have unanimous.
Okay, Heidi?
Okay, yeah, that's fine.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Do you want us to present any of the numbers, Kevin, related to the bond ordinance?
I was going to hold back unless you're time restraint. We could do that now if that's preferable to you, Heidi. But we could do that now.
Yeah, I think it would make sense just since it is related to the bond ordinance that you guys are approving, just so you know
Yep.
what you're getting yourselves into.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry, just for people in the audience, I'm going to introduce, this is Heidi and Kyle, who are our consultants. They work with Baker Tilly and have been running numbers for us, doing the bond, that have determined the bond ordinance for us. And so thought it'd be important to have them share out. Go ahead, Heidi, whenever you guys are ready.
Okay, thanks, Kevin. So this is Kyle Carlson with Baker Tilly, as Kevin just introduced me, and then you've also heard Heidi Amswell with Baker Tilly as well on this call. So I thought first we could talk about, the financial parameters that are in the bond ordinance. And Kevin has talked about a few of them already when he was going through the resolution. But the bond ordinance sets the max par amount or issuance amount for 2 series of bonds at $5,250,000 and the interest rate at 6.5%. and the bond term at 20 years from the issuance of the first series of the bonds. So those are kind of the key parameters around this deal. There's also it's estimated to be 80% of TIF pledged to the bonds, with 20% remaining with the redevelopment commission from the TIF revenues that are collected from this project and development. And then I was going to share my screen just to go through the numbers. So hopefully everyone can see this, and then hopefully the council has the numbers in front of them if they can't see it.
We're gonna put you up on the screen.
We're gonna put you on the screen,
Okay.
Kyle.
Thank you.
Just to turn this on, Karen. You got it.
There's a lot of details to this analysis. I'm going to try to talk high level about the important things.
Can you make your screen a lot bigger, Kyle? I'm sorry.
Can you go full screen? Yeah.
Probably we see Kyle.
There we go. Hey, there.
Yeah, I think, is that better?
A little bit more.
Okay, so first, I don't have this on the page, but I thought I could talk through the total number of units that this project is going to generate, or estimated to generate. And that's kind of these first pages 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's a lot of the detail behind the TIF estimate, or what the TIF revenues this project's going to generate once it's fully constructed. But I wanted to start on page 8 instead, but also let you know that for phase 1 and 2 of the project, there's estimated to be 228 units. That would be 132 apartments, 20 senior living facilities, senior living units, 24 rented villaminiums or townhomes, 24 sold villaminiums or townhomes, and 28 rented duplexes. And that totals 228 units. And then for phase 3 and 4, that is estimated to be 73 units sold villaminiums townhomes. A total of 301 units from this development is what's estimated. And then, with that, jumping to page 8 here, you can see we have been talking about 2 series of bond issuance. So this first series here, or the 2024 A bonds, would be paying for infrastructure costs related to water and sewer, and infrastructure costs for phase 1 and 2 of the development. And the targeted proceeds or incentive for that as we've been discussing and reworking this analysis currently is $4.1 million. And with that, also the bond would be issued to fund the capitalized interest of what's estimated to be $433,000. So that is that as this development is being constructed and assessed, there's interest payments, and capitalized interest is used to set aside monies at closing to pay for those interest costs on the bond during construction. And then also you can see here the $225,000 of estimated bond issuance costs. So that would be issuance costs paid to bond counsel, local counsel, Baker Tilly as a financial advisor, trustee, and other fees, estimated around $225,000. And in order to fund that 4.1 million of proceeds target, the capitalized interest and the cost of issuance we just talked about, that would take an estimated $3,460,000 bond issuance, when factoring in the 1.3 monies that would also be being received from the Ready grant. And that total there is $4,760,000. And with that, so that again is just going against the TIF of the 228 units. So if the first phase 1 and 2 is complete, the developer can initiate the process to issue a second series of bond issuance, which is estimated to be in 2028 currently, but that is just illustrative. And the targeted proceeds there would be this 1.5 million here, and then a smaller number of 75,000 estimated for the cost of issuance, since all the approvals would already have happened, for a total bond issuance of $1,575,000. So pledging the 80% of TIF for a maximum term of 20 years is and offering $5,600,000 of incentive or project proceeds to developer is taking a just over $5 million collective bond issuance between the two series. And the max parameter that you guys are approving with the ordinance is $5,250,000. So around another 200,000 of ability to increase in that. And then, is there any questions so far? And I can go through the estimated amortizations next.
I think, go ahead, Kyle.
Okay, thank you. So this next page is the amortization of the first bond issuance, which is estimated to be dated February 1st, 2024. And you can see, as I talked about with the parameters, the 6.5% interest rate. And you can see the capitalized interest that I just discussed being paid while the development's being built and assessed. It's just taking time to build the units and then get that property assessed. And you can see the total, the total bond issuance. Let me move this. The total bond issuance at the bottom of $3,460,000.
Can you
And
blow
this
that
one
up?
is, yeah, I can. And this is estimated to have an 18-year bond term currently with all the information that the developer representatives have provided and the development timing of each unit. So again, the maximum term would be 20 years, but it's estimated to only take 18 years to generate that proceeds target that we discussed, or incentive to the developer. And then this is just a page that's showing what 80% of the estimated tax increment would be here in this left column, or the pledged TIF revenues that'll be pledged to the bonds. And then it's showing also $5,000 being set aside annually for TIF admin fees, just with all the reporting and trustee fees that would be required. And then you can see this estimated net pledged TIF revenues here. And then the bond payments from the last page can be seen in this column. And then you can see that what we've done is we've structured this first series of bond issuance to 100% debt to revenue coverage in order to pay it off as quickly as possible. And as mentioned, if the developer, finishes phase 1 and 2 and wants to initiate the second bond issuance of the $1,575,000, this is what that bond issuance would look amortized with an illustrative bond issuance of June 1st, 2028. So over 4 years from now. You can see the interest rate of 6.5%, which hopefully or potentially that interest rate could go down, in this time. But you could see the $1,575,000 amortized over what would be 14.5 years on this one, in order to fund this $1,500,000 of project proceeds, and also pay for the issuance cost of $75,000. And I think the only other thing, this is a coverage page, that kind of shows everything. It shows the pledged TIF revenues, shows the TIF annual admin fees that I went through. Then it shows the bond payments for the 24A bonds and the illustrative bond payments for the 2028B bonds. And then it shows the estimated pledged TIF revenues remaining. And with the second bond issuance, there would not be any capitalized interest, as I talked about, setting aside money to pay for those interest payments. The developer has signified that they're okay with not having that capitalized interest set aside for the B bonds. And so that interest will just be paid back as the revenues come in when available. And with that, I think we can just turn it over to questions unless Heidi, you have anything you'd like to add now?
Yeah, I would just add, overall, tax increment revenues are revenues that are generated from new development coming up out of the ground, and that is what is securing both of these bonds. And so the city, or the town rather, sorry, is not on the hook for these bonds. So if the development doesn't happen as planned, then that revenue, 80% of that revenue that's generated is what would be provided back to the developer. So I think it's important to know that, and that the town isn't on the hook for either one of these series of bonds. So you are just approving both series of bonds right now in this legal process. So you don't have to go back through the legal process again for all 4 phases. But I did want to clarify that. So otherwise, open it up for questions.
Thank you, Heidi.
Anyone in the room have any questions? Yes, sir.
Joel Samuelson, 1111 North Lake Shore. Just kind of curious of what is the projected occupancy level to sustain the payback of the bond?
We are not provided the Sorry, I muted myself on accident. We are not provided the occupancy level assumptions by the developer. What we are projecting our TIF revenues off of are estimated assessments of the property. And if the occupancy is not full, the developer will still be responsible for paying the taxes on the non-sold properties. And so there will still be someone that is always responsible for paying the taxes on that property, which will be collected and, pledged towards these bonds.
Thank you.
Anyone else in the audience? Yes, ma'am.
At 522 South Main. So from what I heard, phases 3 and 4, which wouldn't be until like 2028, it sounds like no single family homes whatsoever in any of these phases.
No, sorry. There are villaminiums. I was calling them, which can be a little confusing, but which is also considered townhomes or single family units. So there is 97 sold single family units and 24 rented, estimated.
Townhomes, they're not single.
They're standalone detached.
I don't think anyone else is online, Kevin, are they?
There are people online that can watch on meeting.
Okay.
We get copies of all those numbers
Absolutely. Yes,
for everybody on council,
yes, sir. We can.
please.
You're welcome. Let's do that.
Anything else for Baker Tilly?
I would just add, the next couple of steps on your agenda are related to the creation of the TIF area that's required for the capture of TIF in these different areas. And because there are some single family residential components of this development, and apartment, which is a commercial TIF area component, there are a couple different things that Kevin's going to walk you through that are all related to the creation of the TIF area around these payment of the bond. So.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
You're welcome.
Happy New Year.
Same
Thank
to you.
Happy New Year.
Thank
Kevin,
you.
would you like us to stay on for the rest of the meeting, or what are your thoughts? Maybe for the
I like-
next couple steps?
Let's get through this next section just in case there's.
Yeah.
Something in there, but we should be good after that. Thank you.
Sounds good.
Okay, I have to ask the question, where are we now?
Resolution.
004.
Okay, resolution 2023-004. approving a resolution of the Culver Plan Commission, approving a resolution of the Culver Redevelopment Commission regarding amendments to the declaratory resolution and economic plan for Culver Economic Development Area, establishing a residential housing program and all matters related thereto.
And do you want Kyle to comment on that? You want to comment on that?
After the whereas, or do you want to read through it first, Jim, or do you just want to comment on it? That's up to you.
Well, after the whereas is the sections are actually not very complicated. It's after the whereas is the resolution is pursuant to section 16B of the act, town council determines that the declaratory resolution and the 2023 amendments conform to the plan of development of the town and approves of the amending declaratory resolution and the 2023 amendments and the plan commission order. Section 2, the amending declaratory resolution, the 2023 amendments described in the amending declaratory resolution, the plan commission order are in all respects approved. This resolution shall be full force and effect from and after its passage by the town council. What that means is that we're approving what's already been approved by our various sub-bodies, declaring this economic development plan and economic development area for this residential housing program. And as Kyle and Heidi sort of noted, it's important that you establish these TIF districts so that you'll have the tax incremental financing to pay for the bonds. Kyle, you want to add on that?
No, I thought that was good. Just that it's went to the redevelopment commission already, and then it went to the plan commission, and now it's at the council, and it's kind of reiterating what you said. It's important that because these bonds are payable from those pledged TIF revenues, are 80% of the TIF revenues generated from the Dunes project and the storage facility. There's a couple other parcels that were added that are becoming TIF areas as well that are outside of the financing, but the Dunes project and the storage facility TIF revenues go towards the payment of the bonds that we were just walking through.
So in essence, what we're asking is, it went through the redevelopment commission, it went through the planning. What we're doing is including the residential housing of the Dunes, the storage areas of Beachview, and we're also adding Subway, 415 Lakeshore, and we are including the storage area that's being built out on 17. And so we're adding those into the TIF district to generate the increment.
And so the first resolution is asking the council to accept the recommendations of the plan commission and the redevelopment commission.
In essence,
these matters.
This is a council resolution accepting the other resolutions. Correct.
And there will be a public hearing at the next RDC meeting as well, as a part of this whole process. So that's the last step, is going to the RDC after you guys have this tonight.
I'd make a motion that we approve resolution 2023-004, accepting the recommendation of the plan commission and the redevelopment commission concerning this project.
I'll second.
That's been moved by Mr. West, second by Mr. Shardy. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
President.
West, Shardy, and Clevenger, aye. Mr. Githens and Mr. Ham present.
And then to go along with that is the next resolution. Town of Culver Economic Development Commission recommending the designation of the economic development target area in the town of Culver and approving related matters. We did tweak the target area a bit so that it matched up the Dunes areas with the first areas being
That's right.
inner core area and then around the outside.
So we moved a few things in the legal description than the original. We approved this ordinance as well as had a resolution, but we want to go back through the process again, given that there were some minor changes in legal description. This is just to capture that and be thorough. So I have an EDC resolution number 2023-005 to offer to the council for your approval. signed and delivered.
And you might want to just vote to accept that and then
Move to the ordinance.
move to approve the ordinance.
Okay, is there a motion to approve resolution 2023-005?
I'd make a motion to accept the recommendation from the Economic Development Commission.
Mr. West makes the motion. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Mr. Shardy makes a second. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed?
Present.
Mr. West, Mr. Shardy, and the chair vote aye. Mr. Githens and Mr. Ham vote present.
I'd make a motion now to approve resolution 2023-005. Recommendation of the Economic Development Commission concerning the target areas.
I'll
Wait,
second.
what did you just do?
That's what we
The
did.
first one is we accepted
We
the
accept it.
report from the
Okay.
Economic Development Commission, and now I've made a motion that we approve the
Okay.
resolution that concurs with that recommendation.
And I'll second.
It's been moved by Mr. West, second by Mr. Shardy. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed?
Present.
Mr. West, Mr. Shardy, chair, aye. Mr. Githens, Mr. Ham, present.
The ordinance 2023-023 is an ordinance of the town of Culver designating the area within the town as an economic development target area, skipping the whereas clauses. Be it ordained that the town council hereby finds that the Dunes residential area has become undesirable and impossible for normal development and occupancy because of lack of development, cessation of growth, deterioration of improvements or character of occupancy, age, obsolescence, substandard buildings, or other factors that have impaired values or prevented normal development of property or use of the property in the Dunes residential area. The town council further finds that the designation of the Dunes residential area as an economic development target area will not cause the town to exceed the 15% limit on the geographic territory in the town that may be so designated. The town council hereby designates the Dunes residential area as an economic development target area for purposes of Indiana Code 6-1.1-12.1-7 as amended. Section 3, revocation of the prior ordinance. The town council hereby revokes and rescinds ordinance number 2023-18. That's the one that Kevin referred to. We had a different target area, so we tweaked it just a bit. Section 4, effective date. This ordinance shall be in full force and effect immediately upon adoption past this whatever day it is. And I don't know, Heidi or Kyle, do you want to weigh in on this one?
Yeah, I would just add that as a part of the residential housing TIF, normally they are established as economic development target areas as a part of that process in allowing the capture of single family homes, which is a newer statute. Back in 2018 is when that residential housing TIF was allowed for communities to utilize to help with the infrastructure costs. So that is essentially, what this part of the process is for. Very standard in nature, I will tell you, from all of the housing TIFs we assist in creating throughout the state.
Just following statutes.
Yep.
I would like to make a motion to approve on first read ordinance 2023-023.
Been moved by Mr. Shardy, chair seconds. All those in favor, signify.
Information or clarification, what are we voting on here? Which resolution?
That's the
You're voting on ordinance 2023-023. No, 23.
23.
23.
that's for designating the area as an economic development target area.
Where they revised the map.
Yeah, right. We approved that,
Okay.
and it's been revised.
Mr. Shardy makes the motion, chair seconds. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed?
Present.
Mr. West, Mr. Shardy in the chair, aye. Mr. Githens present, Mr. Ham present.
And you guys are gonna complicate our timing because of all of this, but I guess we'll deal with that. We got 2 more meetings.
It is.
Yeah.
We had to revise it. We had to bring it back to the
Yeah,
table, and
so,
we had it unanimous last time. We got 3-2 this time, so we'll move forward with that. Thank you.
oh, we got 3 and 2.
2 present.
3 and 2 present. Next on the agenda is the first read of ordinance 2023-024, 2023 encumbered funds.
It's the end of the year and we are working on. Usually we have a couple of items that were purchased or committed to that we don't have invoices for. Or just trying to get things paid out of this year's budget. There's a list that I'm trying to find real quick.
Bill, I need to leave. I need to be at the county plan commission.
Okay. Happy New Year to you.
Kevin, do you need us on other parts of the meeting? We can stay on if needed. Just want to check.
No, I think we're fine moving forward unless anybody else sees a need.
Yeah.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Heidi and Kyle.
You're very welcome.
Thank you.
Happy New Year. We'll talk to you on the 9th.
Yep.
Bye.
Okay, so I've got a couple of items that we're asking to encumber funds for. The fire department has $15,000 for the length of service award program that we got an invoice for today. They have $2,800 for window repair with Lucas Masonry. There was a trailer that they are purchasing and haven't received it yet. But that's $8,000. And then the radios have come in, but there's some issues with it. So there's $1,502 out of the fire budget that we would like to encumber so we can pay that invoice when it comes. Emergency services, there is a washer and dryer that was just purchased. And we'll get the bill for that on the 5th of January. That's $1,528. The street department, MVH, and the local road and street all have money in their paving budget for paving that we didn't get done this year as part of the community crossings. Get that done after the first of the year once we get bids. So that's money there. Plus there's some tires that Bob needs to purchase and wants to get that taken care of. And then the last thing is $40,061.50 out of the CCD fund that was appropriated for those radios as well. So that should take care of that.
I'd make a motion that we approve on first read of ordinance 2023-024.
Second.
Mr. West makes a motion. Mr. Ham is seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those same sign. Okay.
So since it was unanimous, I'd make a motion to suspend the rules and pass on second and third read.
West makes a motion to suspend the rules and approve on second, third read.
Second.
Second by Mr. Ham. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anything else, Ken?
Not for that one.
That comes to me. I have another resolution. I'm full of them tonight. 2023-006. It's a resolution of the town council of the town of Culver, Indiana concerning authorization for execution of NDOT agreements. Indiana Code Chapter 3613 permits any unit in the state of Indiana to exercise any power or perform any function necessary to public interest in the context of its governmental or internal affairs, which is not prohibited by the Constitution of the United States, the state of Indiana, or denied preempted by law, nor is expressly granted by any other law to any other government entity. The town council, the town council of Culver in Culver, Indiana is the legislative and executive body of the town of Culver, and its law authorized to adopt ordinances, resolutions for the administration of the town Culver's legal and financial affairs. Whereas the Indiana Department of Transportation has requested specific written authority for the execution of NDOT agreements when all members of the executive body do not sign. That we are asking that the authorization for the utility manager is hereby authorized and confirmed to have the authority to execute any NDOT agreements and all other documents related thereto, and all documents related to any NDOT grant programs for and on behalf of, to bind the town of Culver, Indiana. Effective date, this resolution is effective immediately upon its adoption. We're asking for Bob to be able to negotiate the NDOT agreements for us and grants.
I'll make a motion to approve ordinance 2023-024. I'm sorry,
Oh,
006, resolution 2023-006, authorizing executive for NDOT agreement.
I'll second that.
it's been moved by Mr. Shardy, seconded by Mr. West. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, resolution passed. You got another one, Kevin?
So that was mine.
Nope.
The Kevin and Karen show tonight.
It is.
Resolution 2023-007 is a vacation transfer. We had a situation where there was a miscommunication with an employee. He thought he had an extra week of vacation and he didn't. He did take that vacation, was scheduled before we caught the issue. There's another employee that has a week of vacation that they are not going to be able to use, and they don't want to be paid for it. They would rather transfer that week of vacation to this employee so that they are not penalized next year, as it was no fault of their own. And so this resolution just puts into writing that is the intent, and then covers us when we're audited by State Board of Accounts.
Okay. I have a motion to approve resolution 2023-007, vacation transfer.
So moved.
It's been moved by Mr. Ham,
I'll second that.
second by Mr. Shardy. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Vacation transfer is approved.
Your clerk treasurer having a paper trail at her best.
Trying. If you saw my office, the fact that the trail may get locked. So,
I was trying to pay you a compliment.
I appreciate that, thank you. So I also have resolution 2023-008, transferring funds within departments and funds. This is a ordinance or a resolution I asked that I do every year, just fixing things within each of the each department budget, making sure that all of them are in black and no one's in a negative. So if I could just have a motion to approve that resolution.
So moved.
It's been moved by Mr. West,
Second.
second by Mr. Ham. Resolution 2023-008, transferring funds within department and funds. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Resolution passed. I think we're finished with the resolutions, are we?
We just did them all for that. Okay.
All right, Dunes update.
All right. Well, you heard update tonight from our consultants. I just want to add that we're starting to get the structure of the bonds in place and a hard structure. Things that I'd like to highlight because that's hard to see numbers, and sometimes that's 30,000 foot speak. What we're looking at is an aggregate amount of no more than 5.2. We're looking like we're coming in underneath that number with the issuance of bonds, which is good. The second thing that I want to emphasize is that we've divided those bond structures into two separate issues. The reason for that is the first build's coming in. That's what we call residential phase 1 and 2. That's going to put 225 units. Some of those are going to be single detached units on the ground. And we are committing 3.5 in a bond issuance to that and incentive, and then the 1.3 ready grant. Those monies are going to be solely given to infrastructure, hard infrastructure. We're talking sewer, water, storm, streets, curbs, sidewalks, lights. It's an incentive of and under half of the total amount of the infrastructure. That's going to generate enough money. 80% of that TIF is going to be pledged to the payment of the bonds. The 20% is going to be recaptured by our redevelopment commission. It is not paid for by the town in terms of taxes. At the end of that first build, phases 1 and 2 of the residential, we call that infrastructure 1, the developer has a right to be a market delay. If they don't see a need, they don't build. If there's not a demand, they probably won't build because they're in it to make money. They have a certain amount of time to start that, and that's 2029 as of right now. That hasn't been finalized, but they have to be started by 2029, phases 3 and 4. And there is a completion date to it, or the town doesn't have to issue those bonds. The town also has options. If we review and certain qualifications have not been met by the developer, we have it within the agreement to not issue the second set of bonds. So we built in some security in there. The interest rate at 6.5 is going to see us pay off those bonds at an 18-year right now, and the amortization that Baker Tilly has done for us. So we pay them off early. It's going to recapture some money for the CRC, and it's a responsible deal right now. I do know that there's been concerns over size, and having that market development clause in there is almost a security to ensure that there's a unit and a need for those units. I don't think the developer will build them if he can't sell them. I think overall the deal is responsible. I see there's room to disagree and agree on this deal, but I'm going to put that forward. We will be posting that on Dune's webpage when we get it finalized, and we will be sharing with the council. That's the update for tonight. And we're moving forward, trying to get some specs with the engineering. We're going to talk about the engineering next week. That's where we're at, Mr. President.
Any questions from the audience?
We know, sorry, it's Maureen again.
Hi, Maureen.
Do we know that the developer is going to be using like Better Business Bureau, reputable companies, not just a local excavator or a local whatever? I mean, the people like what we have.
Yeah, I understand that concern, Maureen. I'm going to say, given the scale and scope of this, he can't go in and find just a local excavator or there's
cheaper.
That's right.
Because that's been a real problem.
And I appreciate that concern.
Yeah,
I can't say the scale doesn't permit that for the development. The second thing I would also reassure you of is that we're running through Midwestern Engineering, an independent engineering firm, on all the specs, all the materials, all the plans. So they have to meet standard. There are requirements of them that are going to be met by the federal government and IDEM. I was on the phone today about the wetlands with IDEM. So everything is getting checked off, Maureen. I appreciate the question though. Thank you.
There is that part of the ready grant though, that's going to be bid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bid to whoever.
There is, but given what I'm sorry, Marty, and that's why I answered it the way I did. Given the size of that and what needs to be done, I think Maureen was asking like a local excavator with a small scale one backhoe project.
Someone who isn't BBB certified, or someone who isn't, you know, checking all that.
That's will be part of the bid specifications.
I hope so.
But it
We
may
do-
not be the developer that actually
Thank you.
is
We
in
could do
control of that part
Just
of
so
the project.
we're aware of it and we can make sure that we're not gonna get somebody we're gonna find 5 years down the road.
And that's where I took the spirit of your question, meaning they have to meet specifications which will be put into the bid.
Which
Thank
is still
you.
actually being built for that.
That's right. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Craig, Maureen's husband, same address. I just want clarification of something that was said the last time in the news report.
Mhm.
Right now, currently, 100% of all those parcels are owned by the developer. Is that true?
Yes, and a portion of them are gonna be sold, and Kyle mentioned that certain units are earmarked to be sold and certain earmarked to be rentals.
Well, all the real estate's owned by the developer.
Right now, yeah,
But
And,
earmarked to
and
be
all the real
sold-
estate will probably always be owned by the developer.
the units
earmarked to be
themselves are
sold
sold.
or already sold.
No, will be sold, not already sold. And the way they're doing it is the land isn't given over. It's the house structure
Yeah,
that sells, the
they're gonna
unit
set up-
itself.
They're gonna set up a horizontal regime, so it's gonna be like a condominium.
Okay.
So if you go in to buy one of those separate, they call it, it's not a condominium, they call it some other.
Villa.
Yeah, a villa. It's
Yeah,
gonna look like a house, but it's gonna be a villa. You're gonna be buying the space in effect, but it's still gonna be sitting on real estate owned by the developer.
So it's like being in Mexico. They have a 99.
Well, it's
lease
like
on the
being in
land.
a condo complex.
without the wonderful heat and everything, yeah. I mean, essentially, you're
So
buying the
they always-
unit,
they always
leasing the ground
profit.
that it's on.
So they'll always profit from the land because all they're selling is the sticks.
The way they do, if it's the Maple Ridge model, you'll pay an HOA fee for basically the upkeep of the ground, and you get that care. What you're owning is the unit, not the ground that's outside the external walls.
So is there any advantage for us to push for more units to be sold versus just earmarking 28, or are we good with 20? What's the benefit of the numbers that he?
Well, the total number of aluminiums
Yeah,
is like 97.
right. I'm going to answer the question really simple, is that I can't push for or against, so it's kind of because this isn't I'm investing in infrastructure. That's their market, that's their bag, that's not mine, so I can't answer that question, I'm sorry. I appreciate it, but I can't answer.
One more quick thing. With the construction that's gonna be going on there, is there going to be a truck route for some of these bigger trucks so that they're not coming down Main Street?
Yes, we've discussed that, and both the developer and the town see it logical not to be driving down Ohio, and we're gonna keep on that conversation. The last time I talked, they were gonna bring them in from the south side in, and that was the last answer I've received from them.
South side and
Being down the county road, and then coming down Tamarack.
yeah, I just want to make sure, because again,
Sure.
we had two
Sure.
really big trucks come. I took pictures of them
Okay,
as they're passing right down my house. So
okay,
these are huge and my house rattles. And
Yeah.
I'm not the only one whose house rattles when they're 100-year-olds old.
I got you.
Thank you.
You're welcome, thank you.
Are there any questions online? Any more from the audience? If not,
Let's hit into the department reports. I got a couple of requests to fulfill. I'm on stage. This is from Bob and utilities. I've got a request for tires. The first one's on a 2019 Caterpillar. Total amount's going to be $25.99, and this is for an installation of looks like quantity 222. It looked like 6 tires. Bob online. Okay. Okay. Bob, chime in if I get it wrong. The second request is for a 2008 Sterling truck. And we're looking at 2742 for the tires. Somebody that's good at math can do that. It's going to be just over 5,300, I think.
And we already encumbered those funds, did we not?
Yeah. I'm going to put that request in with you. Send that if you would, please. For approval.
We need a motion for.
Please.
I'd move that we approve the purchase of the tires as presented by Mr. Conte. Requested by the utilities superintendent.
Second.
it's been moved by Mr. West, second by Mr. Ham. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Purchase approved.
Thank you for that. Take care of that quote. The second order of business that I have is for the Community Crossing Match Grant Review Committee. It's a letter. The town council has pledged up to $94,975 in matching local funds for the 2024 application round for the matching grant that we received, and we're applying once again for. The letter is for a commitment of a 25% local match by the town of Culver. And I put this to you for your signature and consideration and vote, if you would. It'd just be.
$4,975 for the community crossing matching grant. Is there a motion to approve?
It just requires your signature, sir. I missed
Oh,
something on that.
all right.
My fault,
Okay.
the wording.
But in approval.
I move that we authorize the president of the council to sign the document as presented.
Been moved by Mr. West, second by Mr. Ham. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Sad to report, and some of this has been made already directly known to the council. Mr. Jeff Kuhn will be stepping down as the EMS director effective January 1st. He's graciously agreed to stay on during this transition period of assigning a new director. And in talking with him, it was just something that was on a personal level in terms of time commitment and prioritization. And I want to take the time to publicly thank him, and we'll be looking for a new director moving forward. I also want to extend a thanks to all the employees, including the police, utilities, fire, EMS, and the clerk's office, who had to either come in out of necessity or already scheduled to work over holiday to be away from their family and their commitments there. It's greatly appreciated, and it sometimes goes unnoticed. Just want to put it on record that we thank you guys. Last order of business was enjoyable as always. It keeps me happy. Met with the community students again. We are starting to organize what we're calling the Town Spring Cleanup to put projects together. Going to meet with department heads, see where we can focus young efforts. They have energy still and can touch their toes. So that improves from us. The second thing I put in front of them, because sometimes design leads to interesting ideas. I put together a package, and they're looking at the gravel space right behind Papa's and in front of the water tower there, that empty parking lot. And I said, what would you put there? And so they're working with some classmates, and I said, the sky's the limit. I can't wait to see what they come up with. I'm sure it will be cost effective. But I like to see their ideas. I like to encourage them to think, and they had some wonderful ideas starting, ranging from an Olive Garden to an outside bowling alley. Get your shoes ready, kids. But it was good fun. We're talking, and I'm a little bit more excited about spring cleanup because I think that's a little bit more logistically possible, but I can't wait to hear their ideas. So I'm getting off the stage and turning the meeting back over. I think so. That's it for me. I'm the town manager. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Department head report, EMS. Anyone here to report from EMS? Fire. Terry?
Yeah, I've got some of our annual reports that we usually do every year. A matter of calls. 2022, we had 93 total calls for the fire department. And this year we had 140.
Mhm.
So it's significantly increased in all different categories that there are. What we get called on.
Why do you think that is?
Part of it's EMS because we run a DLS service, so we back them up when they're out of town. So there's quite a few alarms, as I brought to you guys' attention a couple of meetings ago, that we sent out bills for places that are going to be very unhappy when they come talk to you guys.
What's the fine? The amount.
250 for the fourth one, and then $500 after.
We have some of them with 11. Well, so there's nothing I can do about it, an ordinance to that effect. It's just a matter of get your stuff fixed.
I get it.
That's all I can say.
Yeah.
I don't want to go there any more than they want me there on the fault line. You're getting our guys in our trucks and we're all jumping and going and getting halfway there and turn around. We didn't get a little disappointed. We're going to be mad because we're not going to obstruct the fire or where we're really deep. You know, it's we get disappointed when we do it 12 times. But anyways, that is that part. And with that, the training hours, which we give you every year, in 2022, we had 581 training hours for our department. And this year we had 1,360. So The guys are stepping up, they're doing their training. There's a lot of things that we stepped in that direction to keep us at a level that we can protect our people. And with all those numbers that I gave you, in 2022, we had 20 members. And as of now, we have 18. We did more hours with less people, did more runs with less people. Just telling you, that's what we did in 2020. Oh, and one more thing. I'm gonna be with you for one more year, as they tell me. I don't know if that's good or bad for some of you people, but that's all I have.
Thank you, Terry. Mr. Bean, Chief.
Like to introduce one of our new guys. Larry Jolly. And we need everybody. Fulton County for 29 years and happy to have him here.
Welcome.
Welcome. Looking forward to getting started.
Glad to have you. Thank you.
Get sworn in on Tuesday.
Sounds good.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Any questions? I have nothing else.
All right. Any member of the council have any questions? Think you'll be able to handle anything
You need
comes along. Thank you very much and congratulations,
Thank you.
Larry. Park is Amber online for Park?
Yes.
I'm online. I don't have anything to report. Thank you.
Thank you. Utilities, Bob, anything more?
Nothing for me. Thank you much.
All right, thank you. And seeing the building commissioner's not here tonight.
I have a report from him.
All
If
right.
you want me to read into the record, sir.
All right, if you will.
Back on stage. November building permits applied for. November was 26 compared to 25 in October. Fees for building permits and improved location. Culver received $6,552.20 in November versus $3,265.50 in October. This includes the 14 building permits for Culver Storage Solutions. There were 9 roof and fence permits for a total of $225. BZA/PC fees totaled $200. Well, all application and building permit fees, the total for November is $6,977.20. For your consideration and recommendation for me is that Culver reference Marshall County's building ordinance where needed and end the Culver building ordinance. MC is performing all the inspections and most certainly using the MC building ordinance for compliance at Marshall County. After your consideration, please advise if you would like me to start the process of ending the Culver building ordinance and change our language to reference the Marshall County building ordinance. I'll need some legal guidance. Culver subdivision control ordinance is 83-003. It appears this hasn't been updated in approximately 40 years. I'll review this to see what updates may be needed. Jim, laugh. I've had multiple contacts with Culver citizens regarding a host of topics, site inspections, enforcement of ordinances, and helping people through different processes. I'm still working on some properties that have structures that need demolished or the demolition completed. Jeanette Cerisi is working with me on 815 Akron to complete the demolition. TRC report. In November, the TRC had 2 meetings and heard 3 cases, 11/9/2023, 958 West Shore for demolition, Culver Storage Solutions on 617, which includes 14 permits, 11/17/2023, 2160 East Shore Drive, add garage to existing house interior remodeling. December TRC. In December, the TRC heard 6 cases, 12/14/2023, 824 Lakeshore Drive and fence permit in a C1 district, 958 West Shore Drive, new home construction in an L1 district, 2553 Edwards Lane, L1 district, and 2557 Edwards Lane, L1 district, both for remodel on the same footprint. 1460 East Shore Drive, L1 district, replace 47 feet of foundation. 2050 East Shore Drive, addition of elevator to home in an L1 district, and 12/19/2023, 16323 Redwood Road, petition to rezone property from S1 to A1. The planning commission had 2 cases in November, 827 College Avenue replat and 147 North Terrace replat. These were both cleanup lot lines and were approved. The solar ordinance committee hasn't met, but are getting information from me via email. I'm watching how the county solar ordinance progresses. The BZA had 3 cases on the agenda for November meeting. 222 Marmount, there we go, 222 Marmount. Application for a variance withdrawn. 910 West Shore Drive variances tabled until January. And 303 North Shore Lane, request for variance. This was tabled and later withdrawn. That is the building commissioner's report.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome, sir.
Anyone here for tree commission? And Mike, are you online? Okay.
I do have a report on that as well. We were approved tentatively right now, along with Plymouth. We applied with IU for 100 new trees. We are looking to split 100 trees with Plymouth, as well as the cost coming out of the tree commission's, Mike approved it. The total cost is $32.50, which would be split with Plymouth. We'll get at least 50 trees out of the deal, as well as an intern that will work here and in Plymouth. And those trees are to be planted for us. They have a 3-year guarantee on them. If one of them dies, they replace them for us. And not only do they plant, but they care for those trees for the first 2 years, watering, pruning, all of that. And the trees are 1 inch to 2 inches big. Mike was excited by it. I passed it along. I just received the email yesterday that we were tentatively approved, and they're waiting on Plymouth to chime in. So I'm hopeful that we get that. And Mike seems to think that will fill in a pretty big need of what we have for trees. So just trying to keep upkeep, and it was a good deal. So that's where we're at.
Karen, your report, please.
I used to the redevelopment commission.
Oh, the redevelopment commission. I'm sorry.
Hi, Marty Osterbrand reporting for the Redevelopment Commission. A few quick things. First, our fund manager has been modest in his report so I'll report for him that he successfully lobbied the county commissioners to include the tax increment from the Culver storage development. So that is county property technically, but the additional taxes that will be generated by the storage unit being built there will come to the Culver Redevelopment Commission, and that will help us with local economic development. And that also did timely subject matter expert comments from town council here. So thank you, Jim Clevenger, for, I can't say support, but for your assistance in getting the decision made, the right decision made. So thank you. The Redevelopment Commission approved a facade grant for Poppins Restaurant. At its last meeting, we also passed, as you know, the amending language for the declaratory resolution that you considered earlier tonight. We unveiled the map of the dunes, which is now hanging on the wall here. So Maureen, the individual units, you can actually count them on the map. Behind that map that you can see, there are 2 other maps. One has all the sanitary sewer lines, which is what we're paying for as part of our incentive. And the map behind that has the water lines running in the map of the water lines. So feel free to flip through that and see where where the town is making its investment. You can get a good visual going through the maps there. And then, as Heidi from Baker Tilly mentioned earlier, we do have a public hearing as part of the Redevelopment Commission meeting coming up on January 15th. That meeting is held at 5:15. And as usual, we entertain public discussion on the dunes. This will be different, but apparently we've got a legal matter in the public hearing to hold on. I'm not sure what that is yet, but we'll be holding it. Thank you.
Marty, does the map show the line running all the way down to the Beachview property?
It shows it running to the edge of the Howard property.
Okay, yeah.
Where it terminates.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you, Marty. Karen, your report.
I've got a number of things, so bear with me. The first one is our claims over $2,500. The first one is Amson Corporation for $12,825. That was already kind of approved through, when you approved converting to new self, utility bills. And this is part of that conversion for training. Cargill Incorporated, $6,544.43. That's for salt for the street department. F&H Decks and Landscaping Incorporated, $2,600. That is for the park Christmas lights. E&B Paving, $6,749 for patches, resurfacing throughout town. And then finally, the Trader Group, $4,782.93. And that is for additional work on Lake Max and the Lake Max Trail Phase 3 that we received money from the Culver Educational Foundation to cover.
I move that we approve those claims over $2,500.
Moved by Mr. West,
I'll second.
second by Mr. Shardy. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Those same sign, thank you.
As I mentioned earlier in the encumbered, as I was discussing the encumbered ordinance, we received the invoice yesterday for the LoSAP, the length of service award program that we put into place for the fire department. And that invoice is $41,348. As I mentioned, we're encumbering $15,000 from the 2023 budget. And then we'll split the remaining funds between the volunteers and probably the township. We kind of have to we have to figure that out because the township does contribute half of the fire department's budget. So we just need to come through, and we did a lot of mental gymnastics today and my brain is exhausted. And so what I'm asking for is for you all to approve that claim and allow me to pay that prior to the next council meeting. As the invoice is technically due January 1st, but we've got some time. But I'd like to get it taken care of. The volunteers will pay $8,782.66 out of that. And then Marlene and I are still working on the rest of that, how it's getting split up.
Motion to approve.
Just for clarification, Karen, these are the invoices for 41,000. The participants are paying about eight.
The volunteer are paying $8,782.66. And then we have $15,000 that we budgeted for this year. And then the remaining, Marlene and I kind of just need to discuss a little bit further because she doesn't want to end up paying double what she would pay just because of the structure of how she contributes to the fire department budget. So we just need to kind of think it through. And
so in round numbers, with the participants' payment, that lowers what the town would pay down to about
41,000 minus 88,000,
almost 9,000. Okay, down to about 32 then, and then we've already encumbered 15. So okay.
Basically, the 8,700 is a third of the remainder.
Okay.
So
I'd make a motion that we approve paying the invoice for the, is it LoSAP?
yes, it's technically, but yes, it's called a length of service award program or LoSAP.
Second.
It's been moved by Mr. West, second of Mr. Ham. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Thank you.
I left nepotism form, so just so that it's read into the minutes that the annual certification of elected official to the executive of the town of Culver on compliance with the municipal nepotism policy involving direct line of supervision and the certification of elected official to the executive of the town of Culver on compliance with municipal contracting policy. Those affidavits have been signed by each of the elected officials and submitted to the council president, which I will go ahead and keep in my folder for future reference.
Okay.
Basically stating that no one, you don't have a spouse, parent, stepchild, stepbrother employed with the town of Culver, nor do you have a company, or is the town contracting with a company that is owned by.
All right.
And not done yet. Boards and commission appointments. There are openings on the plan commission, 2 openings. The people, those that are appointed are going to either need to be Democrats or independents in order to keep the board balanced. There are 2 BZA spots open, and there are 5 redevelopment commission spots open. And as was determined at the last meeting, applications are due by 4 p.m. Thursday, January 4th. Those applications are available online. I emailed them out on Town Lake, and they're also available here at the office. And they can be submitted out, they can be emailed to me or dropped off either. And then finally, water and sewer rates. I'm sending year-end information to Jeff Rao at Baker Tilly so that he can update the water and sewer rate study, and then we'll plan to have a work session in February to review. And that's all I have.
Thank you very much, Karen. Mr. Clevenger.
2 things, probably the one of them I should have tagged into either a Dunes housing somewhere along the line. It has to do with the easements along Main Street. I haven't heard anything on Mr. Howard, so I sent him a letter making him an offer to purchase his easement in accordance with the appraised value I got for the utilities, but which, by the way, I thought was a little high, but it is what it is. And I also was of the understanding I was going to get an easement from the corporation that the Dickey folks had that owns the bigger portion. And I'm glad of that. I hope that comes through because that appraisal was much higher because it was a much longer stretch. But I haven't received it yet. And I followed up today with an email to the gentlemen that are involved in that. And I was hoping to hear back from them, but I didn't. So
Okay.
we are working on that. I guess where I'm coming from on that is if we don't get these easements in place by agreement, there is a condemnation process that takes a little bit of time, and knowing the timing of when the Dunes housing project wants to get underway, I'm getting close to that point where if we have to do a condemnation proceeding, I need to get started on it.
All right.
So, all right, so whatever I get. And just to kind of follow through on something, the town did annex the Culver Equities property now, it was before, and also the Howard property. And we were under an obligation that we never followed through with to run water and sewer to those properties. And then when we annexed the Beachview properties, we still had the same obligation. Now we haven't run out of time on that one. So one thing that we do need to remember as we go through this, that the water and sewer lines that we are installing will lead to those properties and allow for us to meet that obligation that we entered into a couple of years ago in one case and 10 years ago or whatever it was in another. And then the only other little item I had the treasurer and I collected a water bill that's been kind of outstanding and out of the ordinary. And so we took care of that matter. It's the treasurer was a bulldog, by the way, on all of that.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Little tag on to Mr. Clevenger's, looking at options, running down South Main Street. I had Midwestern give a quote. It was a rough quote, but it was pretty close to being accurate. And he said, I don't know what that means, but just to run the water sewer down Main Street to fulfill our obligations to the annexations was going to be in the neighborhood of 875,000 in comparison. And so that has been expensive and on us. And so just to put that out there, appreciate that.
Yeah. And that's all I have, Mr. President.
Well, thank you, Mr. Clevenger. Utility shut off. Anyone in the room for utilities or ordinance violation? Anyone online? Hearing none. Citizen input. Anyone in the room? Yes, sir.
Just an odd question. I noticed Bill Gittens left the meeting to go to somewhere else. Is he going there on behalf of the town, or is he going as an individual citizen?
I think he's going on his own.
I think he's going to the county plan commission, which is meeting tonight to amend the county's solar farm ordinance.
Okay.
There's one in place and there's some amendments that needed to be made, and then I think that's where it's going. So
Okay. No. Oh, actually, the other one was, Rich West, just wanted to thank you for your years of service on that council.
Anyone else for citizen input? This time I'd like to,
They just unmuted.
okay, go ahead, please.
This is Mike Stallings. We are 506 East Lake Shore Drive. We're kind of stuck right here in Florida right now, but anyway, Teddy and I would really like to thank Bill Ham and Rich West for all of the work they've done on the council. And, you know, we all should appreciate the effort that these two men have put in, and I wish them well.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else for citizen input? Hearing none, council issues. Mr. West.
I just want to echo a comment that Kevin made earlier, thanking our emergency services personnel for all their hours and the things that they've done over the holidays, but also through the last year. Terry highlighted the increased number of runs that they've had and the training that they've done. We know with Wayne and his crew, the extraordinary number of hours that you put in over the last almost year and a half, I would guess, as we search for new people and find the right people, Larry. So thank you for the services you've provided. Thank you. And then also just the end of the year, I think is an extremely busy time for Karen as she puts together all of these resolutions and ordinances and encumbrances and things like that. I just want to thank her for all of that work. And I think it helps keep us afloat and informed. So.
Yes, I would like to reiterate what Rich said and thank everybody for all their efforts this last year.
Mr. Ham.
This being my last meeting, I just want to thank everyone on the council for welcoming me and providing a good working relationship. And I think I'll miss this to a certain extent because it kind of stimulates your mind to work on stuff like this. But we're going to be doing some traveling, so it's going to be redirected to a better place. Not that this isn't a good place.
To another place.
To another place. Yeah. Only more leisurely.
Well, as president of the council, I'd like to take this opportunity to personally thank Rich for your years of service on the council and Bill, your years of service on the council. It's been a pleasure to serve with both you gentlemen.
Thank you.
And I wish nothing but the best for both of you going forward.
Thank you.
So congratulations. Job well done.
Thank you.
Bill's gonna travel. I got a longer honey-do list.
Okay. Hearing that, I have a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
It's been moved by Mr. Ham,
Second.
second by Mr. Shardy. We are adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.